Welcome back to TheChowTimePod. It's your host, Red. We got a video today from the wall. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. I really appreciate that. Ciao. Ciao time.
Put a finger down if you've just found out that your dead husband is your real dad, and that your mum knew all along that there was a chance that he
Wait, what?
could be your real dad.
I'm telling you, paternity fraud harms literally everybody around that woman. The child, the father, the family.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll dive into several shocking cases of DNA tests that uncovered hidden truths. We'll see how some women tried to keep secrets from their husbands, but in the end, the truth always comes out and blows up in their faces.
I wouldn't say always. There's probably plenty of women that took their misdeeds to the grave.
We want you to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're aiming to hit 150,000 subscribers by March, and with your help, we can make it happen. Don't forget to leave us your comments and turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. Let's get started.
Jennifer was a senior in college, and she decided to take one of these DNA tests where you mail it in and they send back the results. She really wanted to know if she was genetically predisposed to having any kind of medical conditions.
Makes sense.
But what she found out when she got the results back was that she had a family out there she didn't know anything about. Turns out about 24 years prior, her mom had stepped out on dad, and the result was her. Well, when everybody found out about it, it was devastating. It was devastating for her father, the one that raised her, because he never knew. He thought that this was his little girl his entire life. And she was, just not genetically. Mom had to fess up and confess really to the affair that she had had 24 years ago. That then affected her relationship with her husband, the father of the little girl. It was a mess. Got to be careful.
Like, what about the father that didn't know he had a child for 24 years?
With those things, you know, they can come back and show you things you may not want to know.
Oh, hell no!
I'm telling you, 23andMe and the whatever other company that's like 23andMe have caused a lot of divorce.
Here we can see a clear example of an irresponsible woman who deceived her husband. What the lawyer says may sound nice, but it's clear that he doesn't want to judge the woman who cheated on her husband. A woman who doesn't respect you from the beginning never will. And this case is solid proof of that.
Yeah.
This man, if it weren't for this test, would have spent his entire life living a lie. Meanwhile, the mother was living...
Like, I don't even know what's better, guys. Like, you tell me down below. Is it better to live the lie for the rest of your life, or to actually find out and be devastated? I don't even know which I would actually choose. But being me as a man, I'd probably want to know the truth.
living happily because she thought she had gotten away with it. Of course, this man would end the relationship. He wouldn't have stayed if he had known from the start that he was raising another man's child. She never leaves her husband because he's still her walking wallet.
Yep.
And this woman took advantage of that dynamic until the truth came out. Even if they say he's the father because he raised the child, a father is the one who conceives, not the one who raises. That story was invented by single mothers to trap any potential provider and make him play house with another man's kids. Never.
I can somewhat agree and disagree with that statement. Like, I think it's great that some men take up the mantle to be stepfather and raise children. I don't actually hate on that at all. I know a lot of people in this space feel like those men are simps. And I'm not saying they aren't. You know, they somewhat are. But it's still a noble act to want to raise other people's children, personally. So,
Brother, try to turn a woman from the streets into a wife. It fails 100% of the time.
Put a finger down if you've just found out that your dead husband is your real dad, and
your dad's husband or your dead
that your
husband?
mum knew all along that there was a chance that he could be your real dad, and let you get married anyway because she's selfish and didn't want her best friend
Oh, it is dead husband, huh?
finding out that she slept with her husband 40 years ago. I've just been to my mum's house. I've gone through her photo albums and discovered pictures of her and my husband together. Intimate photos.
Ah, I got anything to say. I got anything to
I
say.
confronted her about it. And she said that there's a chance that it's my dad. But she didn't want to tell me. She just thought I would never ever find out. And she let me get married to him. Sorry.
Wow.
It's been a lot. Now the only way I'll ever find out the truth is if I dig up my husband's dead body to get like DNA test results. Oh my god. I'm gonna have a panic attack.
Damn.
This is horrible. This mother not only deceived her daughter by hiding who her real father was, but knowing there was a chance it could be her husband, she still allowed her to marry him. It's clear that responsibility is kryptonite for women. I don't know if the father knew he was getting involved with his own daughter.
I don't even know if this story is true, but this is just too trippy. Like, wow, the diabolicalness of women right here. Like, you had your daughter marry your ex-baby daddy, her father.
Just the thought of it is disgusting. Maybe he had no idea she could be his daughter, but there are men who have been with their girlfriend's mother and take that secret to the grave. However, seeing that she was old enough to be his daughter, he must have suspected something. This leaves two possibilities.
That is true. The father should probably have suspected something, huh?
Either they're both sick, or that mother said nothing to avoid ruining her own marriage. Either way, it's horrible. What do you think, brothers?
Oh, man.
Don't take a DNA test if you can't handle finding out that you might be the daughter of a murderer, and that your husband's ex-wife could possibly be your close family member or even sister. So I've gotten multiple requests for an update or a part 2 on the DNA results. I did a DNA test about 6 years ago. I have some cousins on my dad's side who are a lot older than me. They're his age. So I'm 34. They'd be in their 60s by now. There was no suspicions about paternity whenever I did this. They were just doing DNA tests with all the cousins that they could contact. They wanted to grow their family tree and learn more about their side of the family. So they emailed me and I agreed. We used family tree DNA. I just did the cheek swab and then sent it in. And I remember making a joke to my siblings saying, you know what, I bet you my dad really isn't my dad. Because there's 4 of us and we all have different dads, so it really wouldn't have been that surprising. We also had multiple stepdads, so it was just one of those things that we laughed about to keep from...
What? 4 with different dads and then multiple stepdads? Yeah, this is how single mothers ruin kids and ruin the next generation right here.
Crying, I guess, to make jokes about our messed up life. So the results come back, and I did not match any of the cousins who had also taken that test. I reached out to my cousin, and I told him that I didn't see them on there, or maybe I didn't know what I was doing. And he said, well, there could be a couple of explanations for this. He's pretty good with genealogy and DNA and all that stuff. So he said the most obvious reason would be that you are not your father's daughter. But then there's...
All right, don't read the subtitles, guys. I don't think the subtitles and the videos actually match them.
where the drama starts. He said that when my uncle and my dad were little, my grandparents had a big fight about the way they looked because one looked a lot like somebody else, a different dad. I don't know if they ever figured that out. Apparently, my uncle is a lot darker than what my grandfather thought he should be. They're all Caucasian, and I think that he thought maybe my uncle was Hispanic or maybe even black. I'm not sure what the issue was there because all of them are passed away now, and I don't have anybody to ask about it. So I guess that then brought up the question as if any of my grandmother's children belonged to my grandfather. So what we decided to do was ask my grandma to take a DNA test because I was the only person that really still kept in touch with her. She was in the nursing home, and we would visit her every now and then when we were able because it's kind of far away.
Okay.
I did not tell her that I was suspected that my dad really wasn't my dad because I think that really would have broken her heart. I was her baby. But when we went to visit her, I just told her that since she was the oldest living family member that I wanted to get a DNA test on her just so that we could do our family tree. She did it, and we waited for those results to come back, and she and I did not match. I never told her this. I didn't want to break her heart. It was just there was no reason for it.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, as the saying goes. In this case, The grandmother cheated on the grandfather with the milkman, and later, the daughter, who is the mother, seems to have followed the same tradition. It seems milkmen have good luck in this family. Brothers, this makes me think that if DNA tests were mandatory, many men wouldn't be living through these horrible experiences. Many women would.
And then I said in like another video, I think it should be mandatory for like no questions asked mandatory for, when they're asking for paternity or child support and things like that. But I don't think it should just be mandatory across the board, because I don't think some people want to care. If it should be a choice, the husband should always be given the choice, and it should be solely the husband or the man's choice to know or to do the test or not. Like, I think that should be the case. I said no on just 100% DNA testing on every child. I don't want hospitals and governments and stuff and entities just collecting our DNA like that. That's probably one of the biggest issues I have about it, because I guess I watch too much sci-fi movies, and there's too many things that they can use against you with your DNA and stuff. Like even certain diseases or certain chemicals or something that is just only registered to certain DNAs that are deadly to certain DNAs or something like that. Again, sci-fi stuff. So from that, and I also know that a lot of, Asians have the Genghis Khan gene, which would be me. I am technically a descendant of Genghis Khan. I did the DNA test. My brothers and sisters have that gene, so I have that gene. So there's a lot of things I feel can go awry if the government or some entities collecting all of this. Just saying.
Would think twice before cheating on their husbands and getting pregnant by the milkman. That's why, when a woman says she'd leave her partner if he asked for a DNA test because it means he doesn't trust me, cases like this prove that excuse doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
Both the grandmother and the mother got away with it. Let's hope the granddaughters don't continue the tradition. But let's see what happens when the mother is confronted.
There was nothing that I was going to gain out of asking her any questions, because she probably had no idea. And even if she did, she was just too old and too sick for me to be bothering her with that. So then started my questions to my mom. She was not happy about that. Girl lied. She lied so bad, and they said that I was being scammed by the DNA test. Which I guess I can understand if you almost 30 years later, you thought you got away with something, and then boom, here comes all these questions. But I wasn't mad. I wasn't mean about it. I was just like, hey, so by the way, I did a DNA test, and, Chuck's not my dad, so who is it? She wasn't budging, so I had to go and investigate on my own. I even got to the point where I was like, well, maybe, like, am I adopted or something? Am I not your kid? So I was just, like, trying to pick and get answers from her. She just wasn't, no. So we found somebody that's, they are called search angels or DNA detectives. I found her on Facebook. Her name is Dawn.
I do admit, people on the internet sometimes are so good at what they do, like finding locations just from a picture, finding out your DNA tree and relatives through this stuff. That's why I'm saying, like, I don't want DNA out there. It's kind of scary.
And if she gives me permission, she has given me permission in the past to share her information, but I want to reach out to her and make sure that she's still doing this kind of work before I share any information, just in case somebody out there is looking for the same type of help. But I just basically gave her my story, told her what was going on, and she did her thing, and she was able to find a lot of information really fast. I still kept asking my mom just because I wanted to know from her. I didn't want to have
you want to hear from the horse's mouth.
To just find this out through a DNA test. I wanted to know her story. I wanted to know what was going on. I told her, I'm not mad at you. I just want to know. And she got mad, and she was like, why do you even care? Why do you want to know so bad? And I was like,
the gaslighting.
She told me it wasn't my business. I was like, excuse me, ma'am. It is my business to know who my father is and if I have any more siblings or anything like that. She was fiery mad, and she finally...
Yes, the more siblings things actually does matter. Now there's a lot of siblings that are getting married and stuff that don't know their siblings.
She said, I don't know. It was some guy in a white truck. She told me that she worked at a bar, and she was, I guess, a bartender / waitress, and my dad that I thought was my dad the whole time was a bouncer, and they had broken up, And I guess to get revenge on him for whatever she was mad at him about, she messed around with some other people. So she found out she was pregnant, and it was just easier for her to pin me on Chuck, who I thought was my dad. Not the greatest choice, but I guess when you find out about my real father, I guess he was the better of the two. So if you want to know what happened next, just go ahead and follow me, and I'll keep making updates because this is going to be a long story, and it gets interesting, so don't get bored with this.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
Brothers, you can't make this stuff up. The mother wanted to take her secret to the grave.
Of
And now
course.
she's furious because everyone knows she's an unfaithful woman who belongs to the streets. She doesn't even know the guy's name. She just remembers he had a white truck. That didn't stop her from spreading her legs and keeping Chad's seed. Never try to turn a woman from the streets into a wife. It fails 100% of the time. When a woman gets angry because you ask for a DNA test, it's because she has something to hide. Maybe she's not sure if the child is yours, or maybe it's because she knows she's been riding the carousel and doesn't want you to uncover her shame. Look at how this girl admits her mother chose the supposed father because he was the best option. Choosing the other guy, whose name she didn't even know, could have gone horribly wrong. But let's see how this story ends.
Welcome back to Am I the Daughter of a Murderer? And Am I my husband's ex-wife's sister? Part 3. So since I could not get any information out of my mom, the only thing I could do was use Dawn's help. She's the genetic genealogist, if you haven't been watching this. And she was able to take the little bit that I knew about my mom's side of the family and separate my DNA matches from the maternal and paternal matches. On family tree DNA, I had one match that was pretty close, and she was a cousin. We were able to contact her, and she actually ended up sending me an ancestry DNA test because she had done one of those also and told me that she had more matches on the ancestry test than she did on family tree. She was so, so sweet. I love her to death. I'm not going to give anybody's name because I have enough permission, and I haven't talked to these people in a long time, so I don't think it would be right of me to share their information.
Hey, shout outs to this woman not putting everybody's business out there. I mean, this is an interesting story.
Was able to lead us to another cousin who was closer to my age. And I'm so glad she did because this cousin, she loved doing family trees and she was very good at it. It was a hobby of hers, so she knew so much about our family. It was crazy. So Dawn was able to work with my cousin to piece together information and narrow it down to a set of cousins that would have been in the right age range to be my father. And then they got it all the way down to 2. These 2 were half brothers, and one was way too young. My mom was 31 when she had me, and this guy would have been in high school. Okay. But unfortunately, the other one had already passed away.
Oh, no.
And yep, you guessed it. He was in prison for murder charges, and he died there. So even though I was hoping that that was not my...
Like, when people say, like, oh, I was a father of a murderer, like, sometimes the murder was self-defense. Sometimes the murder is somewhat justified in a sense that, hey, someone's attacking you or whatever it is. I'm not saying that is the case. I'm not saying that all murderers are that case. But, like, when you hear murder, you do automatically think of just cold-blooded killers. And it's not always the case.
My real dad. We reached out to the younger brother, and thankfully he was super nice and agreed to do a DNA test. And he came back showing half uncle. And even though that was pretty much enough confirmation, we still wanted to dig deeper and reach out to a possible sibling. So with the help of my uncle, we were able to get the information of my brother and contact him. He actually did not answer, so I called his wife because Dawn is super amazing at just finding people's information online. And she didn't answer, but I left a voicemail, and I was just super honest. I was like, hey, I'm Stacy, and I believe that I may be related to your husband. So let's do a DNA test and figure this out. The man did call me back, and he had several questions. I guess he just wanted to make sure I wasn't some kind of a scammer.
Makes sense.
And after
like some random person calling you for contact you and try to take your DNA, and it's just like...
I gave him enough information to make him feel comfortable. He agreed to meet with me at a restaurant. The minute I saw this man, I knew it was my brother. We looked so much alike, and it was funny because he was sitting at the table pretending to text, and I knew he was taking pictures. Like, come on, who hasn't done that before?
I just wanted to be like, just take the picture. Let's take one together. I want these pictures too. At the end, we ended up taking a picture together. But he did agree to take the DNA test just to make sure that we were siblings. It came back, and yes.
Hey, bro.
What?
Oh my God!
In the end, the mother slept with a classic Chad, a bad boy who even ended up in prison. It's the typical
Seems
case of
so.
a woman seeking the seed of the bad boy, only to later tell the beta provider that he'll be the father of that child. Brothers, get your DNA tests done, even if it's in secret. Don't wait 20 or 30 years to find out that the child you've given your love, resources, and time to isn't yours. This isn't about distrust. It's about making sure you don't spend your entire life raising another man's seed.
Agreed.
Nowadays, with tests like Ancestry, the process is quick and simple. That's why many women are alarmed, because these tests are uncovering uncomfortable truths. More and more men are waking up and learning how to protect their interests.
Like, as me, I would tell all men to get DNA tests. If you choose not to, it's up to you. Some people don't want it. It's okay. I would suggest every man doing it. I just don't like government mandates on things. This is why I said the government mandate for all children to be born to get DNA tests. I don't like that. That's probably the biggest issue I have with, giving it for everybody, is now the government's involved and they're forcing people to do it. I don't think that should be the case. Like, I think it should be for every man, but it should be mandatory that you have to do it because the government told you? No, but every man should get a DNA test no matter what, in my opinion. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. I really appreciate that. And I catch you guys next time.